So it turns out someone was using my credit card for identity fraud. But then I found out it was my assistant. And well, my husband knew about it too, guys. This story is crazy. Imagine being sent away from your favorite store because your card does not want to work. It's declining. Well, this was the second time this was happening, and my husband still had not sorted out the problem. First, it was a ridiculously low limit after he took my regular card. Then he gave my card back. But for the second time in a month, my card was getting declined and the cashier was giving me a very judgmental look, as if I was the first person to have a card declined. Luckily, this time, I was not with my mother-in-law, Dee, or else she would have made a scene about how rich our family is and the fact that my father-in-law's going to be the mayor. I call her my mother-in-law in quotations because she is my husband's stepmother. I've met his real mother, but she was a very bitter woman who warned me that this family would drive me insane. My sister-in-law just told me to ignore her. She was drunk from all the wine from my wedding day. But back to my mother-in-law, who caused a big scene after the card that my husband gave me was declined. She ended up paying for everything, but not before scolding the employee for negligence. I felt so bad, especially when I got home to my husband, who was giving me a new card. It was still with the same bank, but with a much higher limit. Of course, I told him that he did not have to. I do have a job, though it's not that flashy. I can buy my own stuff. This is where I wish that he was just a normal man who did not come from such a wealthy, well-off family. I just fell in love with him as a person, not his money. And I was now only shopping so much so I could be helped with his father's election campaign. His father was leaving the business to run for mayor of our town. It was very important for all of us to be on our best behavior so that he would be elected in a month's time. I will not say I have much of a relationship with my father-in-law. He's nice enough to me, but does not seem that interested to talk to me. His wife, well, is a friendlier person, but maybe it is to do with the fact that she's 5 years older than me. She did not treat me like a mother-in-law, but like a friend, and was extremely nice. In such couples where the man's wealthy, you would think the woman did not love him, but if you saw how she looked at him, you would see that it was for real. So now that I've shown you the key players in the drama that unfolded in a very ugly way, let me tell you what happened this time. I did not understand what was going on, why this card kept on declining, and why my husband gave me a new card each and every time. Granted, I did have business expenses, but I did not get what my account, which had a high credit limit, was empty. As soon as I told my husband, he would just make a phone call, and everything would be sorted out. But this time, I did not want to bother him. He was helping his father with the campaign, and that was all I could hear about in the house. The man worshipped the ground his father walked on, and wanted to be as successful as him one day. So, I got it sorted out on my own. I called my bank, we went over the charges on my account, but get this. Over the past couple of months, there were transactions that I simply did not recognize. One thing I'm proud of is my memory, and my consulting with it, I was able to see someone appeared to have access to either my account or my card. I remembered that Adam replaced my card and sorted the matter out with the bank, but appeared that someone was running up large bills with my card. How could it be, when my card was always in my purse? All the shops that my card was used at without my permission were shops that I do not frequent at all. After spending hours with the bank on the phone, I was able to report a fraud on my account and temporarily freeze it while they do an investigation. I hope they would find whichever idiot must have cloned or stolen my card and arrest them. Or I would find myself and make them pay because, well, I'm beyond pissed. Money does not grow on trees. This was criminal behavior. When I saw my husband later that day and told him what happened, he did not even have a reaction, which annoyed me. He just said, "Ugh, it doesn't matter." I was so bored with this money that I could not keep track of my own expenses. That stung, and I had to hold my tongue from saying anything. And he did apologize, but he knew how I felt about it. I only agreed to this because his family has a reputation to uphold, and I always have to be looking rich. But I hate this stuff. Yet I love him enough to be a trophy wife for the past 3 years since I was 25. Well, on to the good news. My bank told me they made progress with the timestamps and the collaboration of the stores. They were able to pull up the CCTV footage of the lady who was using my card. I anxiously waited for the email with pictures of the lady, and I was already thinking of ways to make her suffer. I hate scammers with all my heart. Friends and families have fallen victim to this sort of stuff, and unlike me, they could not afford to lose their money. And yet my husband was acting like it was nothing. It was not nothing. Who knew how many people had been victims of this scam? It simply was not okay. I opened the slightly blurry pictures, but I could not recognize the culprit. I called her into my office and showed her the pictures of her gallivanting around the town with my card. My clone card at that. And shopping. How could she betray me like that when I have been nothing but good to her? Well, she looked very shocked and tried to deny it, but then suddenly she asked why she could not. She deserved that much. What did she deserve that was more than everyone else's besides a salary? I did not owe her, and neither did my husband. I told her that I was already going to call the cops on her, and she was going to jail for a very long time. She did not mess with my trust like that when I've been nothing but good to her. She laughed and said that she did not clone the credit card to mess with me, and that instead my husband gave her the credit card that was cloned. I asked why would he do that, and she said she already said too much. Before she turned to leave, I was too shocked to call the police or go after her when she asked me if I really knew my husband. I did not have control over what happened next because I grabbed her and we started scrapping. Some people came into my office and tried to separate us, but words were just coming out of my mouth. I hated that she was spending my husband's money, yet had the nerve to look me in the eyes every single day. Security came quickly and took her away. It dawned on me as she left. It was hush money for something that my husband did not want me to find out, and I'm guessing that with my spending and hers, the credit card limit was breached several times, and he used my account because he did not want a paper trail that was leading to him. If it was a matter of him cheating on me, then it was very inhumane for him to make me face his mistress every day. This is what I got. What my mother-in-law warned me about, but I did not listen. I signed off for the day and went home, where I sat and went over a lot of things from the past couple of months, trying to understand what this man thought he was doing. I loved him. This was not the man I fell in love with, who did not even glance at another woman. Nothing had changed that would make me suspect that he was being unfaithful to me. Eventually, he came home to find me sitting in the dark waiting for him with pictures of Anna laid out in front of me, as well as the printouts of the emails with the bank. He turned pale white and pretended to be happy for me because I found the culprit, but I told him to cut the shit. I was on to him. I asked if she had some dirt on him, which was why he was paying her, but he said no. I asked if he was sleeping with her, and he told me to stop being so ridiculous. So I stopped the fighting with him and reminded him that we were in a marriage. He could tell me anything, but he told me to leave it alone. We ended up fighting, saying things I'm sure both of us regret. In the end, he told me to pack my stuff and go back to my mother's house because my cat fight with Anna was all over town and it was hurting his dad's campaign. Well, I didn't complain. How could I when he was putting his dad's campaign over telling me what's going on? When I left, I realized that maybe it was time for me to get out. I did not want to be caught up in whatever it was. He did not care about me. From his actions, I could tell, so I just needed to leave. But if I was about to leave, then I was going to sue him for what he was worth. And I hoped that the news of a divorce would hurt his father's campaign. I was mad and needed someone to pay for how blindsided I was. My mom tried to get me to calm down a bit, but I was boiling with anger. For a few days, I stayed at my mom's house and thought of my next few choices. Dee already knew what was happening, and she was doing her best to support me. But I knew her loyalty was to her husband, if only Adam followed in her footsteps. Just when I was so lost in wondering where to go next, everything fell into my lap by chance. So, my mom begged me to go to the salon, get my hair and nails done, and quit moping around the house. So, I agreed just to get her off my back. I went to less-known salon because I was not in the mood to bump into someone from the family circle, and as usual, there was some salon gossip. They were talking about my assistant Anna. I figured it out because they said where she worked and how she looked. They said that she was living the high life these days with her little sugar daddy and ignoring them. Now, I did not know who they were to her, but the snippets they provided me made me put the pieces of the puzzle together. I did not have evidence, but I did not need it because this made so much sense. My husband was paying her off so she would not reveal her affair with my father-in-law. I knew it. I did not know the specifics, but I had a huge hunch. He protected his dad at every cost, so why would he not enable that man in his cheating? And to think that Dee was a good person whose only crime was falling for a cheater? What I did next is something that I do not regret, even though many people told me later on that it was out of hand. My husband's family already thought I was crazy, so why not just prove them correct? After that, I was seen as a traitor to the family for making my father-in-law lose his opportunity to be mayor. He did very badly in the elections, not because of the cheating scandal, but the consequences of it. I told Dee everything. I heard as the concerned person that I was, not knowing that she was in a fragile mental state, and for all that I'll take responsibility. But Adam and his dad are the ones to blame for what happened next. But then again, I'm not supposed to be blaming other people according to our marriage counselor. Dee believed every word I said, even though there was no proper evidence. She just said that now a lot of things make sense. My father-in-law did not come home the previous night. More than once, she smelt women's perfume but did not dare to ask him about it. I asked her why not, and she said that she was still so sad over the loss of their baby. I didn't even know about that. It made me feel so much worse to know I was dumping all this information on her during such a difficult time. She confided in me that she felt depression after that and he just abandoned her. I could only offer her support at this point before she left. I knew that things were going to be bad at home after she confronted them, but I did not know how bad until the next morning. I had a lot of missed calls from my husband and a couple voice messages from him. He sounded so panicked and sad, telling me that everything was a mess. Full disclosure, I told him I was the one who told Dee everything and I should have checked her mental state before doing that, because now Dee is in jail. Dee, well, she's okay, with just a few scratches, but Anna was in the hospital with a broken nose after Dee beat her up. Dee fought with my father-in-law the night then she just disappeared. The next morning, she confronted Anna in public, and Anna tried to run away, but Dee beat the life out of her, threw a shoe at her nose, completely breaking it on impact. I was forced to go back and stay with my husband to show some sort of solidarity for the family, but I only did it for Adam, because I saw the kind person that he used to be. He felt terrible, and I know he still does because of the way he talks in his sleep. He just wanted to help his father, but he ignored his ethics and broke our trust, and it cannot easily be fixed. Dee, the one who was wronged in all this, the one who told me to go back and support him, she said that he was just trying to help his father, but he does care about me. So here was the result. Anna was moved to another hospital where she recovered, but I've not seen her ever since. My father-in-law's campaign, ruined. And he hates me now for it. And also, Dee's also getting divorced from him, and she plans to go back to pursuing her master's degree. She did get a fine for the accident, but since Anna did not press charges, she was not sent to prison. As for my husband and I, well, we've decided to go to marriage counseling as a last-ditch effort to save our marriage. There's a lot to talk about and a lot of anger, but I just want to try. Is that a bad thing for me to want to start a family with him and make this work? However, if the counseling does not work, then we're done for good. So, I guess we'll see in the coming months if this is even worth saving. We're thinking that we should move away from this place and his toxic family because they're simply so toxic. This life is clearly not for me, and if he ends up like his father, I'll be crushed. I guess his mom was onto something when she said this family was going to drive me crazy back then. I should have listened. So, it turns out the biggest victim of this story was Dee. The husband that she loved so much and she was such a good person for was running for mayor and decided now's the perfect time to cheat on his wife. He's the true villain of the story, but let me know what you guys think. Do you think OP went a little too far when she broke the mistress's nose in one solid punch? Drop your comments down below, guys. I would love to hear your opinion on that. If you're not subscribed to the channel, consider doing that so you don't miss any updates. You can also find my other channels in the description below, which also have daily videos. Now, we're going to look at story number 2 on the day, and the title is, Am I the A-hole for banning my mother-in-law from the house after I discovered that she's installed a camera in my bedroom? My husband, 33 male, got into a car accident almost a month ago. He's been bedridden due to back injuries, and I've been his primary caregiver. The pressure has been too much for my mother-in-law. She keeps telling me to take care of him and be there for him constantly. She's begged me to take time off work, and I did. Asked me to send her hourly updates about his condition for the first 2 weeks, but when I don't, she gets mad and causes an issue. She visits every day, but doesn't do anything to help. Alternatively, she listed all the things I should or should not do. The family keeps telling me she's just worried sick for her baby boy, so I try to stay calm. Days ago, she called to berate me about not replacing the sheets quickly. I had no idea how she found out since my husband didn't even call her. My sister-in-law called me to tell me that her mom installed a camera in the bedroom to see if I was taking proper care of her son. Yeah, I was stunned. After searching the room, I found the camera. I called my mother-in-law and had a huge fight with her. She admitted it and said she was just feeling concerned and wanted to make sure her son was well-beinged. Despite him calling her every day, I yelled at her, telling her that she's no longer allowed in my house after this. She lost it, went on a rant about how I'm stopping her from seeing her son, and that not seeing him will literally make her sick herself. The family called me later to get me to back out of the decision, but I told them she breached my privacy and took advantage of the situation. They said I'm taking it too personally and that I can't blame a concerned mother for wanting to make sure her son's fine. Especially since she's listed things she thought I was doing wrong. I ended the conversation, but my husband's upset, telling me I'm being vindictive. And that if his mom can't come, that he'll move there with her. Well, we argued, then I went outside, and he's been silent ever since. Guys, am I the a-hole? I'm going to keep this one short and simple. I'm going to read the number 1 comment. Not the a-hole. Report her to the police. Let your husband go home to his mommy. I think that's pretty solid advice, as the husband was kind of not sticking up for his wife, and also the fact that this mother-in-law is super over the edge, installing cameras in someone's personal bedroom. Let me know your thoughts. I know there's 2 sides to a coin, and she was just looking out for the well-being of her son. That makes sense too, but the cameras to me is just too much. Drop your thoughts, guys. Thank you so much for joining in on this one. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will catch you in the next one. I'll see ya!